All right. Good morning, watching online, all of you guys. Anyone love technology? If you're in the comments, give us a thumb. Anyone love technology? Okay, 4 people. Cool. Okay. Anyone hate technology? Okay, 4 people. And the rest of you just hate me? Hate Trenton's questions? Raise your hand. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I want to, but well, if you follow AI and stuff, all really crazy. World's changing, guys. Old people, listen to me. I'm old too. It's changing. But there's a new phone that just came out. I was reading about it. This is going to blow your minds, okay? Just super fast. This phone, you can call anybody in the world. Doesn't matter where you're at. But it gets better. You actually can, basically take and do emails, works. They've created this weird thing they call apps, and you can just download as many as you want. So if you like finance, you can download 38 stock apps. If you're sports, it's like ESPN. I mean, it's crazy, guys. You wouldn't believe this. But it gets better. If you don't want to talk to someone, but you want to be quicker, now you can just send a short little sentence or two, and then they can just reply back to you in real time. Gets crazier. There's this, I think it's called Siri, and you just say, hey, Siri. I don't know why they named her that, but that's her name. And you'd be like, hey, bring me a pizza at 6 o'clock tonight. And basically, it can happen. Now, all of you in here are like, who cares, right? It's old news to you. But I want you to picture for a second, 2024. I want you to go back 30 years, 1994, and I'm a freshman in high school, and someone walks up to me and says, hey, Trent, there's this phone, okay, and did just what I just did with all of you in this room. I honestly, as a freshman in high school, said, that won't happen. That probably won't happen in my lifetime. But now let's back up a little more. Let's go back 100 years. Let's go to 1894. And someone walk around and be like, hey, could you imagine being in the 1800s and watching every teenager now hitting trees, falling in holes? It should be like, what's going on? And the reason I say that is it's cool when something happens. The dangerous part, though, is when you've heard it before or you're familiar with it. Then what happens is it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. None of you were surprised when I talked about all these amazing things. Not one of you is like, oh, you don't care. Well, my wife and I don't know why, it's a church I've heard of, never been there. It's the local church, but they were streaming a Wednesday night service, whatever, online. I don't know why I'm watching this, okay? That's what empty nesters do. We're so bored. But a few weeks back, we're watching it, and what was cracking me up was they had a lady I'm going somewhere with this. They had a lady doing her special song, and she was into it. She was, okay, Lord, give me. So she's sitting there singing her part, right? But what we loved was behind her was 2 people just telling jokes. And I looked at my wife and I was like, you think they know they're live streaming this and these 2 people? Because it was literally, she's singing her heart out, tearing up, holy hands. And these 2, younger people are just so anyways, at school today, and they're laughing. And then it got crazier. So then she sang that song. Then the next one, she sang an oldie but a goodie. She sang Amazing Grace. And in the middle of singing Amazing Grace, some of you older people here love it. Some young people don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Stay in the middle. She starts singing Amazing Grace, and I look over, and not those 2, they're still talking. They don't care. But beside them is an older guy, and he yawns 3 times. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Singing this song about how amazing grace is, how amazing Jesus has been to all of us, and it's incredibly good news. And a guy who's probably been in a million church services is yawning. That's what I want to share with you today. As we talk about this concept of grace, I want you to hopefully feel and not let it just be old news. I hope today maybe you can look at it through a different lens. So just so you kind of know where this series is going, we talk about the up, out, and in lifestyle of Jesus. So last week, Aaron obviously was talking about when Jesus got up to isolated place to pray. This is up relationship with God. And then today we're going to talk about this out relationship where you do realize that the church was designed, the church meaning us, this body of believers, was designed for the people who are not part of what we do. That's the whole mission of this, and I think we lose sight of that. But it says, move with compassion, Jesus reached out. In verse 41, get to the very first of chapter 2, it says, then he lowered men on Mount. So this community, right down in this community of people living inward together, loving, caring for each other. And then the last one we're going to talk about right before Easter is I'm going to share with you guys, why did Jesus do any of this? And they question him. Why do you do what you do? Why do you eat with horrible people? Why do you not follow the rules that we follow? And that's why I'm excited today to talk about this concept of grace. You've all heard it. You've had it defined. Grace is unmerited favor, mercy upon mercy. That's fine. I'm not against that. But I want to show you not a definition of grace, but actually who grace is and what grace looks like in the flesh. But before we do that, before we get to Mark 1, just 5 verses, I want to give you a background of the setup, okay? So Mark was written about 2,000 years ago. Go back another, several thousand years, and you're going to read in Leviticus where God understood germs because he created us. But literally thousands of years ago, if you went to those people and said, well, you see, there's things, they're germs. You're going to need a microscope. I don't know what a microscope is. Well, anyways, you would have been talking in circles. But this is the beauty. God knew it, so he's like, he made these rules. And he's like, hey, if you have a disease that keeps spreading, that means it's going to be infectious. And if you have an infectious disease and you touch other people, you'll give it to them. And God's like, I love you, and I don't want just everybody dying all the time. So he created this rule. This is what it says in Leviticus 13. It says, those who suffer from a serious skin disease must tear their clothing, leave their hair uncombed. They must cover their mouth and call out, unclean, unclean. You had to shout it. As long as the serious disease lasts, they will be ceremonially unclean. They must live in isolation in their place outside the camp. So this leprosy, this skin disease, the worst part of it wasn't the disease, it was the isolation. It was the fact that once people found you had this, you were literally going to be ostracized and pushed away from everybody else. This was like a death sentence, and you probably had another, 30 years before you died, or 20 or whatever. That was the pain of this. You had to yell unclean. When people got anywhere within earshot of you, you had to yell unclean. I was thinking about this week. I thought, what if we create a new rule at C3? You guys are going to love this. When you walk in the doors, we have greeters. Hey, good morning, good to see you, glad you're here. When you walk in, as soon as you walk in the door of this building at C3, you have to yell out your biggest sin, issue, or struggle. Okay? You guys like that? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't you love to come here? None of you would come here. You wouldn't, would you? I looked at porn. You're not doing that, right? I cheated on my wife again. We're not. I struggle because I don't even know if I like my neighbors. I punched out someone at the gas station. Actually, I had to save that for this one because it was a C3 who did it last at the 9:30. True story. So I didn't want to say that. Right, but if you say that this guy, everywhere he went, people knew. Unclean, unclean. Oh, yeah, you're the leper. You're the leper. So this was a horrible, horrible thing to live with. So just 4 quick things we're going to see in this story about grace and who grace really is, which is Jesus. This is so good, guys. I'm telling you, so good. First is this. Grace breaks rules. You know that? Now, some of you love rules. My wife likes rules. My son loves rules. And the bottom line is grace does break rules. And what it is, it's not like, oh, we don't care about rules. We do whatever we want. It says, I'll break rules when people matter. I'll break rules when it involves people possibly getting hurt. Because people always trump religion and systems. This is what Jesus came to undo in the new covenant. Look what it says. It says, verse 40, a man with leprosy. Now, none of you probably felt that, but that's so heartbreaking. I looked through the 4 Gospels where all people wrote about this story. No one ever says his name. He doesn't have a name. You know why he doesn't have a name? Because no one cares about his name. You guys in here will at least check with your server, right? Hey, what's your name? They didn't care. He's a leper. Keep him away from us. This guy has no name. You see, here's the danger. Sometimes we have these issues, and all of us in this room have these issues, but here's the problem. The problem is when your issues start to become your identity. Well, I'm just the divorced one. Well, I'm just the screw up that never can. Well, I'm an addict. I'm always going to be. It's like your issues become who you are, and the enemy loves it because that's a lie you get to believe. But some of you in here are like, I don't have any issues. You're good. You're like me. Here's the other thing we'll do. Our identity either comes from our issues, which is terrible, or it comes from what I like to call our gifts. And what happens is if you're really good at something, people start telling you, hey, you're good at that. You're good at that. So you learn in your life to perform. And when someone says, hey, who are you? You're your gift. Well, I do this. I do that. And neither one of these, just like neither one is your identity. That's the thing, Chase. Look at that. A man with leprosy came and knelt in front of Jesus begging to be healed. If you're willing, you can heal me and make me clean. A guy with no name meets a guy who is the name above all names. Think about that. A guy who is unknown meets the most famous person, God in the flesh, to ever live. Now, I knew you guys probably still kind of wouldn't feel this. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, there's another part of this too. Not just in Leviticus do you have to say unclean. It said you have to live in isolated places. So there was a rule there. And what it was they called it 50 paces. What's 50 paces? It's about 150 feet. What that meant was if you had leprosy, you could never get around anyone healthy within 150 feet without covering your mouth and yelling, unclean, unclean. Now, this morning I was like, I knew you guys won't feel it, so I want you guys to feel it, okay? So what I'm going to do, Deej, my main man Deej, get up here, okay? Deej is going to be Jesus for us today. We're going to pretend like, get up here. Don't wait. Don't wait, get up here. I want you to stand right here, okay, Deej? Okay? Deej is from Las Vegas. He's been staying with us this week, okay? You know what he told me? He said Las Vegas has nothing on Lawrence, Vegas, a.k.a. Lawrence County. He loves it. He loves it. He's petted cows this week. He's fished. He's the best time of his life, right? The only thing he's not like Jesus, though, is last night he made the comment that I have an outdated hairstyle. Military cut from the 50s, I think he said. But that's okay because, never mind, I won't say what I did this morning. Did you eat cereal? No. Good. You shouldn't have. So, but I'm going to pretend like he's Jesus. So here's just so you guys can picture this real quick, okay? So I want you to get as far in this corner as you can. I want you guys to feel this. 50 paces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 22. Michael Jordan, better than LeBron. Deal with it, Tegan. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. It's not capped. 31, 32, 33. Hey, Andy. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Yeah, look away. That way I don't look at it. 40, 41. Everyone's so creeped out over here. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Just like I planned this week. Hey, guys. Now think about this for a second. I'm the leper. He's Jesus. This is my life. I have never, ever been closer to anyone than this. Within any step closer, and by law, I have to yell, unclean, don't get near me. Think about the isolation of this, living a life. And here's the deal. So you've got a man who's lived his whole life. This is as close as I get to anyone. And one day, a bunch of lepers maybe are talking, and they're like, hey, did you, I know, good job. Everybody's looking away. They're like, man, do not make eye contact. But they're like, hey, it's Riley. Hey, Riley, how are you? They're like, hey, did you hear? There's a guy, we've heard rumors that he stands up and tells demons to shut up. We hear a guy who's doing crazy, freaky miracles. And you know what this guy does? This is so heartbreaking. This guy literally says, I'm going to take a shot. You can't. It's against the rules. No, you guys don't understand. I'm desperate. So he makes that long walk. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys can count. He makes this walk all the way back. Each step probably thinking, what do you do? My peeps are back here like, don't do it. You're not allowed. I got to. Why? I have nobody. I haven't seen my kids. I haven't hugged my wife in 5 years. I don't care anymore. Keep marching. 30, 40, 50. Thanks for the high five. 60. Right. Making this march back. Why? Because grace breaks rules. Now, really think about this. That part we just read says that this guy keeps walking. Now people are probably, oh, what's he doing? You can't. I don't care. And he kept walking. And it says he literally knelt down. I will not kneel down before you with your comments. He kneels down literally this close. Kneels down. Thank you. You did a great job. You were probably the best I've ever seen. Now, feel this for a second. Grace breaks rules when people are involved. It always did with Jesus. People trumped everything. Relationship trumped everything with Jesus. That's how it works. Grace doesn't follow the rules. It rewrites them. That's the beauty of grace. Grace breaks rules. The second thing, this is just as good in verse 42. Grace heals and fills. Grace fills and it heals. Look what it says. It says, moved with compassion. This is Jesus. Jesus reached out and touched him. Whoa, Jesus, you can't do that. Because if you touch them, then you get what they have. Any parents in here with teenagers? Right? Anybody? Okay. Really? 3 of you? Okay. Whatever. I know you're lying, but you guys know as well as I do. When your kids start getting a little bit older and they're doing their own thing, what do you really care about? You care about their friends. Why? Because you know they rub off on them. Until the one day I came to the realization my 2 kids are the bad ones, right? They've been rubbing off on everybody else. But that's how it works. Grace feels it. It says, move with compassion. Jesus touched him. I'm willing, he said, be healed. Now, that word compassion in orange, okay? The Greek word for that, if you can get 100 different translations, KJV, you can go through, and it will say, one says Jesus was indignant. That's not compassion. Another one, NIV, says he's compassionate. One says Jesus was annoyed. One said Jesus literally disturbed. So you're like, Trent, what is it? Yes. If you look up that Greek word for compassion, it's plagnismo. I probably butchered it. Doesn't matter. But here's what it means. It means when you literally feel something in the gut. You ever had someone walk up to you and say something, and you're like, I literally feel like someone punched me in the gut. I feel it. That was him. He looks at this guy, and he feels it in the deepest of pain. I've been punched in the gut about 7 times this week. And the kids have been with me this weekend. It's been an amazing week. But I got the final text, the 7th text, and I just looked at my wife. This was just like 2 days ago. And I was like, I may quit. Because I'm tired of getting hit in the gut. It gets old. You guys know your jobs, your lives, it hurts. You know what it means when your daughter comes home and you're excited and you've been praying because you know she's going to finally, hoping that boy, ask her out for the homecoming dance, and she comes home and her face shows everything. Well, you asked my friend. And then she goes to her room. You know what that feels like? A kick in the gut. You literally punch me. This is how Jesus felt for him. The guy who could no longer feel. You see, if you had leprosy, one of the first things that happens is all the feelings in your fingers, you lose it. A lot of people with leprosy will die because they'll get tiny little infections. You can die from a paper cut. Why? Because it's infected and it would be sore. You don't feel it. You die from infection. So this guy, because he could not feel, he couldn't touch, Jesus felt for him. Is that not amazing? You've got a guy kneeling down and he's like, I can't feel. And Jesus is like, no, I feel. I feel what you feel. I feel for you. This guy had become numb. You know the most dangerous thing can happen at C3 or any church in this area is we become numb. We love the rules, the religious system in this day became numb. It became numb to people. I'm in a small group, and this past Wednesday night, I got a lot of amazing people, a ton of people in that group, all amazing. But there's one group, there's one couple, they don't talk, like they talk all the time before and after. Once we get in, they're just kind of chill, like, listen, great people. This week, first time ever, one of the two started talking. In the middle, and you could just tell, wrecked, broken, hurt. I don't know why this stuff has to happen to me. It doesn't feel fair. And here, feel this. This was the question. I just said, hey, do you guys think you pray more when things go bad? And a lot of people were like, yeah, I do. You know what this person said? I don't. And as she kept talking, she said one phrase that really hit me. She said, I just feel numb. Now, I'm not a hugger. I'm not a toucher. I'm not a crier. But in that moment, I literally was sitting on the couch and I thought, if Jesus were here, you know what he would do? I know what he would do. He wouldn't care what anyone else did. He wouldn't care what guys thought. He would walk over and I literally think he would hug this person. Why? Because he can feel for you even when you don't feel anymore. That's the beauty of Jesus. That's why grace feels and heals. Religion always wants to draw lines to exclude. But Jesus crosses those lines to include. Always. Read through the Gospels. He does it all the time. Why? Look at verse 42. Instantly the leprosy disappeared and the man was healed. Then Jesus sent him on his way with a stern warning. Stern, don't do this. Don't tell anyone about this. Instead, go to the priest and let him examine you. Take along the offering required in the law of Moses for those who have been healed of leprosy. This will be a public testimony that you have been cleansed. So Jesus looks at him and says, listen, I just got one request, bro. Okay, what is it? Yeah, I'll do anything. This stuff's going. I'll do anything. And he says, just don't tell anybody. I don't know if that guy was like, yeah, no, I don't know. But this brings us to the third of the four pieces. Grace is viral. It's viral. Look at verse 45. But the man went and spread the word, proclaiming to everything what had happened. You see, grace is more. You guys remember, what did I say you remember? You all remember. Remember COVID, right? What was the biggest thing? I just got every Republican, Democrat ready to fight in here, okay? I got every single mask versus non-vax. Okay, throw all that out the window for a second. Okay, forget it. Let's make it easier. The flu. Do we all agree the flu is contagious? Right? But here's the deal. You want to hear something even better? Grace is more contagious than the flu. It's more contagious than shame. It's more contagious than what people have told you about who you are. Grace is literally viral. Why? Because religion wants to say, stay back, keep your distance. You're not like us. You don't act like us. But you know what grace says? Come closer. Amen. Come closer. Why? Because it's viral. My old football coach attends the 9:30 almost every week. His name's Buck. Is that not the most awesome name? Buck Fogelson. When I transferred, he was like kind of really a bright light for me because he kind of knew a lot about where I grew up in Arabia, and he was saying things like Cadmus, Patriot. It's called, you say Patriot, it's not, it's Patriot. But he's saying these things. I'm like, oh man, this guy knows where I'm from. But this is Coach Fogelson and his wife Wilma. That's them with their granddaughter. She's holding a National Junior Honor Society, so she clearly gets her brains from her grandma, not her grandpa. But what did I show them for? Older couple, I'm sure don't have the energy like they used to. But if we have anything with an outreach, unless they're out of town at some track meet game or something, they're always here. Because always, like, they're like, what do you need us to do? We'll do anything. This lady picks up, once a month we have Facing Hunger, food bank, pulls up with a semi. This lady comes by, comes early, waits in line. We load up her car with like 10, 12, and she takes it to multiple people who live around her who can't get out. So she was sending me a message one day. She's like, hey, just letting you know, when I come here, I'm going to do this. And here's the point of the viral part. As I was reading her message about all these people she's helping, you know what I thought? I need to be more like her. No, not someday, today. I literally walked differently that day. I showed more grace that day because of someone else. Why? Because grace becomes viral. That's why this week 5 challenge, as Alicia said in the video, real simple. We want you to bless people outside of you. Try to make it, pray for whatever, 3 people. Could be just a kind word. Could literally be a random act of kindness. It may be giving them something, a small gift. I walk in every 9:30 and there's a guy who's going through literally a living hell right now. He walks in and he hands me a candy bar. Now, I don't need a candy bar. Ask my wife. Right? I don't. But here's the thing. It literally says, I thought about you. I thought about you this week. Grace is viral. And then the last one. This is I promise. Last thing I want to share. A quick thing about this. You guys can all go eat your lunch because we're all confused with the time right now, aren't we? Some of you actually thought you were coming to the 9:30, but you're always late. And you rolled in like, hey, why am I early for? Yeah, because it's not 10:30. It's actually close to 11. Anyways, bad joke. Grace takes your place. And Grace's name is Jesus. Grace always takes your place. So here's what I want to do. Put the last verse up. Verse 45. I want you guys to join with me. Okay, I want you to just see this. We'll get out of here. We'll pray. We'll get out of here. It says, as a result, so you notice everything's in black, but the orange. I want you guys, when I get to the orange, to read it with me. That just shows that you checked out, but I'm going to get you to check back in real quick. As a result, large crowds soon surround Jesus, and, ready? He couldn't publicly enter a town anywhere. Let's think about that for a second. Jesus, who's walking around doing whatever he wants, and now because this man ratted him out, and he said, man, this dude, literally, he just touched me, and I'm completely healed. And I went to the priest, and they said I'm healed, and my life's completely changed. He couldn't contain it because it was viral. He had to stay out in secluded place. Wait. He had to stay where? in secluded places. So we had a guy who was isolated and had to stay out in secluded places. And then he meets Jesus. Jesus touches him. And the next thing we know, now this man can be anywhere like Jesus used to be. But you notice what happened? Now Jesus has to stay out in secluded places. I read a book when I was first married with my wife, and this is probably a stretch, but when it told this story, never heard anybody say it, and I'm going to end. I want you just to feel this story. And this is even, I almost got choked up at the 9:30 cent, because I want you just to really feel this, okay? I want you to pretend like I'm the leper, okay? My wife, run the camera right now, got both of my kids front row. One day I wake up, I'm getting ready to shave. It's going to be a good day. And I look in the mirror, I think I'm trimming up a little bit. I know there's abs in there somewhere. They're just covered by something else. I don't know. Getting ready to shave, and I'm like, oh, did I get bit by a tick or a bug? I've got a red spot on my wrist. Yeah, oh well. But I get ready to shave the next day, and I look, and now all of a sudden it's like, that spot's bigger, but there's 3 of them. And I know. I'm back literally 4,000 years ago. I know this isn't good. Oh, no. But I hide it. Pull my sleeves down. And then the next day I notice it's moving up my arm. And it's getting close to my neck. So about day 5, I walk in, and my wife, John, just says, Trent, what's on your neck? I think heat rash, something. I don't know. It's something. Okay. But then the next day I come in, and now it's on my face. And my wife looks at me literally with tears in her eyes, and she says, you know. We both know. You know what you have to do. So I literally go down, priest inspects me, and they're like, yes, that's literally a skin disease that's spreading. You have to be isolated. Fast forward a couple months to Father's Day, and I am literally, I'm here, and remember where I was in the corner? That's my family on another hill. And you know what we're doing? We're having a picnic. Think about that. I look at my son and daughter, 10 and 9, and I wave. And they wave. And they look at their mom and say, why can't we be around Dad anymore? Because that's the rules. Now, I want you to imagine the day that someone says, there's a guy that we think can do anything. And I'm like, nothing will stop me. And I walk up to him, and I kneel down, and he touches me, and immediately I look, and it's all gone. I run, get checked out by the priest, but as fast as I can, I get home so I can hug my wife and my daughter and my son, and we celebrate. And you know the first thing I say? We're going to have a picnic together. It's been 8 years. Now, here's the part that is so hard to say. So we get together, we're excited, kids are skipping, everybody's happy. And as I'm walking through this wooded area, son, daughter, wife, haven't been able to touch them literally in years. And we're walking, and we're excited, and we're celebrating. And about that time, I look over, and far away, more than 150 feet away, I see Jesus, secluded, isolated, and by himself. And that's the exact moment I realize we just traded places. He took my place. As we pray today, as you're watching online, listen to me. If you don't get anything else, please get this. The good news is he was glad to take your place. He's not only glad to take your place, he's glad to live in you. You know, if you knew all the junk in my life, he's like, I don't care. That's what I came for. Yeah, but I don't know. I could never do the things you do. Yeah, you can, because I'm going to do them through you. See, that's the true good news. And I didn't want to say this 9:30. I'm going to say it now, but I think you need to hear this. I'm not bashing. I love the churches beside us in this area. I'm a fan of all these guys. But being a teenager who didn't really go to church, as a teenager when I started attending, I noticed something that was so bizarre to me. You church people think it's natural, but to me it's the most bizarre thing ever. I would literally sit in these church services, and there would be a guy up on stage, much like I am right now, and he would yell at us for 40 minutes, maybe an hour. Just we're the worst humans ever. And I would get up and I would think, I feel terrible. I don't think I ever want to come back. And you know what the church people around me said? Wasn't that great? For who? He just told me I'm the worst human to ever live. But I think there's something weird here. We built in somehow, no, you're like, well, I want to call people out. Fine, call them out. But that's not what we do. We feel like it's spiritual for someone to tell us how terrible we are. But I don't see that in the New Testament. I see Paul, I see all these different people saying, no, we want to point you. It's not even about you or me. We want to point you to the one. It's not about how right or wrong I am. It's the one who we know is right all the time. That's what grace is. So as we get ready to pray, could you imagine walking 10-year-old, 8-year-old, daughter skipping. She's so excited. Her dad's finally home. Wife literally beaming. And you look over and you make eye contact. And Jesus literally gives you one of those. That's what he did. Let's pray. If you would just close your eyes for a second. Father, we thank you today. I thank you for this group of people sitting in this room. I thank you for people watching online. I pray today that we would realize what grace truly is. And grace has a name, and it's your Son, Jesus. I pray today that we would realize that grace, more than anything else, took my place. And we thank you for that this morning. I pray today that we would walk out of this room a little lighter, a little happier, because we realize he not only took our place, but he now wants to live in us and do all the things that he did now through us. That's good news. I pray today that when we walk out of here, that people would see your love in us at work, at home, at the ball field, wherever we are, they would see you in us. Jesus, as we get ready to leave today, I pray we would be reminded of your amazing grace. And here's our prayer. Jesus, thank you. It's about all of us humbling ourselves and realizing we can't do it. We can't make it. We can't figure it out. We keep screwing it up. But you remind us this morning, you took our place. So if that's you, watching online in this room, maybe you want to say a prayer something like this. Jesus, I know I've made a mess of things. I know I can't even be the person I want to be. I know I've sinned. But I'm asking you this morning to forgive me and save me by taking my place, my guilt, my shame, my hurt. Jesus, I can't even feel anymore. And you respond, that's okay, because I feel for you. That's grace. Jesus, thank you for that amazing grace. Let us show it to those around us every single day. We ask these things in your name, and amen. All right, guys. Hey, amazing day, great week. Chairs, fields, these two rows. Okay. Hey, if you can stay around, if not, you got to go ahead. But we're going to move these chairs to the wall for tonight. Have a great week. Hopefully we'll see you next Sunday for week 6.
Look what he's done. I've been set free. Every mistake, he washed me clean. When I lost my way.